Hey everyone, you ever get that weird pain right at the tip of your tongue?
Oh, yeah.
Like after you chomp on a slice of pizza a little too enthusiastically?
Huh.
Or maybe you're like me and you burn it on your coffee every other morning.
Happens to the best of us.
It really does.
Yeah.
But seriously, why does the tip of our tongues always seem to be like a magnet for pain? We thought it was a pretty interesting question.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
doing a deep dive today on, well, why does the tip of my tongue hurt? At least that's what the article we found called it.
Yeah, it's a very relatable question, that's for sure.
It really is.
And the good news is the article starts off by saying most of the time, it's really no big deal.
Oh, ew.
Yeah. Usually it's something super common, easily explained.
Right. Besides my pizza-related incidents, the article mentioned a bunch of those everyday things that can, make your tongue a little angry at you.
Right. Right.
Like canker sores.
Yeah, canker sores.
Why do those things always seem to pop up at the worst possible time?
Right. And it's so weird because, they're super common,
Yeah.
but we still don't totally know what causes them.
Hmm.
Like, the article mentions stress can be a factor, or certain foods can trigger them
Yeah.
for some people, yeah.
Ah,
But the good news is they usually go away on their own and they're totally harmless.
that is good news, because I get those sometimes, and I never know what to do with them.
Just gotta wait them out.
Exactly. Exactly. You know what else I thought was interesting?
What's that?
The article talked about food sensitivities.
Mm.
You ever eat something and your tongue just feels kind of off?
Oh, yeah.
Like tingly or even a little sore afterwards.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So the article was saying that might not be a full-blown allergy,
Right.
It could just be your tongue being like, hey, maybe take it easy on the hot sauce next time.
Like a little warning sign.
It's true.
Right. Your body's way of telling you something's up.
Exactly. And I feel like we often ignore those little signs.
Yeah, for sure.
But this article made me realize, like, even those little weird tongue things, those could be our bodies trying to tell us something important.
Absolutely. Even something small like that, it's still information.
It's true. It's true.
It's your body trying to communicate.
Yeah. Okay, but what about the times when it's not just like a little burn or a random canker sore?
Right.
Like, what if it's something a little more concerning?
Well, yeah, the article definitely goes there. So while most of the time it's those everyday things we talked about,
Right.
sometimes tongue pain can actually be a sign of something that, needs a doctor's attention.
Okay, yeah, I definitely want to make sure we talk about that side of things too. Because
Yeah, it's important.
I feel like that's when people start to get a little anxious.
For sure.
Like, oh no, what if it's something serious?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I have to admit, when I was reading through the article, there were a couple things that kind of, made me do a double take.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, the first one was tongue cancer.
Right.
I feel like anytime you hear the words blank cancer, it's a little freaky.
Oh, absolutely.
But the article did say it's actually less common.
Yes, statistically, it's less likely to be that than, some of these other things we've talked about.
Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better.
But it's one of those things where early detection is really important.
Of course.
So if you have something that's unusual that isn't going away, like any sores that just won't heal,
Right.
or like weird lumps, any changes in your mouth that just don't feel right to you,
Yeah.
and they're not going away, go get it checked out.
Better safe than sorry, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. So what was the other thing that caught your eye in the article?
Oh, burning mouth syndrome.
Burning mouth syndrome. Yeah.
Yeah, have you heard of that one?
I've heard of it, but I don't really know anything about it.
It's basically, it's exactly what it sounds like.
Okay.
Like, it causes this burning sensation. And it can be really severe. Like, you just drank something super hot, even if you didn't.
Oh, wow. That sounds so unpleasant.
Right. And this one's interesting because it seems like it mostly affects women.
Really?
Yeah, of certain age, too. The article is saying that it could be linked to, hormonal changes and stuff.
Oh, wow. So it's like your hormones are messing with your tongue.
That's what they think. It's crazy how everything in the body is connected.
It really is. Like, you wouldn't think your hormones would affect your tongue.
Deep. But apparently they do.
Yeah, and in kind of a major way, it sounds like.
Yeah, and it can even, along with the burning, some people get dryness or even their taste is affected.
Wow, so it's like a whole, sensory...
Total sensory overload.
Yeah, overload in a bad way.
Exactly.
Oh, man, I would not want to deal with that.
Not fun.
So, we could go on and on about every single possible thing that the article mentions, but
Yeah.
I don't want to overwhelm people.
Yeah, information overload is real.
It totally is.
Mhm.
So for the listeners at home who are like, wait, but what about this and this and this? We encourage you, go check out the article. It's a fascinating read. But I think for the sake of our sanity today, Let's maybe move on to something a little bit more,
A little lighter.
a little lighter, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Like, okay, let's say you're dealing with some tongue discomfort,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
And you're pretty sure it's nothing too serious. It's probably just, one of those common culprits.
Right.
What can you actually do about it? Like, are there home remedies for this kind of thing?
Well, that's the great thing. There are.
Okay, tell me everything.
So, I mean, the first one is probably pretty obvious, but cold water.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
if you burn your tongue,
Yeah.
that is my go-to. Just like ice cold water as much as you can stand.
It's like a reset button for your mouth.
It really is.
It really, really is. So
Yeah.
simple, but effective. All right.
Exactly. And then, I mean, a lot of the other stuff is just like good oral hygiene in general.
Right, the basics.
Like, we should all be doing this anyway, right?
Yeah, tell me to brush my teeth, why don't you?
But seriously, it does make a difference.
I know. It's just funny how, we get told this stuff a million times, and then we're like, oh, that's the magical cure.
Right. And then, avoiding those trigger foods if you have them.
Yeah, like we were talking about, the hot stuff.
Spicy foods, acidic things, anything that seems to, like, set your tongue off.
Yeah. It's so personalized, too, which I guess is part of why it's hard to give, blanket advice sometimes.
Exactly. Everyone's different. Everyone's tongue is different.
It's so true. Okay, but let's say you've tried the cold water. You're brushing your teeth religiously.
You've sworn off hot sauce for now.
Yeah, exactly. And your tongue is still bothering you.
Yeah, that's no good.
So what then? What's the next step? When is it time to actually, call the doctor?
Yeah, that's an important question. If those home remedies aren't working, or especially if it's getting worse, don't tough it out. Go see a doctor. It could be like an infection or something else that needs medication.
Okay, so if it's an infection, what, antibiotics? Or there are other options too?
Yeah, so it could be antibiotics, antivirals, antifungals. It really just depends on what kind of infection it is.
Makes sense. Got to target the right thing.
Exactly. And in the meantime, they can give you something for the pain too, so you're not just suffering.
Good to know. Good to know. Because, yeah, if it's interfering with your life, you got to get that taken care of.
Absolutely. And, another thing the article touched on was that sometimes with chronic tongue pain, there can be a psychological component too.
Oh, interesting. It's not just physical.
Right. Like with burning mouth syndrome, for example, they found that therapies like CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy,
Right.
that can actually be really helpful.
So it's about, managing the mental and emotional side of things too, not just the physical pain.
Exactly. Because chronic pain can really wear you down, mentally and emotionally.
Absolutely. It's all connected. I feel like we should have seen that coming with how much our tongues can be affected by other stuff.
It's true. Our bodies are amazing, but complicated.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, I think we've thoroughly grossed out and fascinated our listeners today.
Definitely more fascinated than grossed out.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But seriously, I think this was a really interesting deep dive.
Me too.
We learned about the common causes of tongue pain, the weird stuff, the home remedies.
When to actually get help.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think, the biggest takeaway for me is how much our tongues can actually tell us about our overall health.
It's true.
Just like this little, canary in a coal mine,
Yeah.
except it's like a tongue in your mouth.
I like that analogy. It's your own built-in warning system.
It really is. So listen to your tongue, everybody.
Wise words.
All right. On that note, we are going to wrap up this deep dive. As always, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes. Thanks for listening.
And until next time, stay curious.